Hi there. All right, everyone. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. It is a gross day across Central Florida and a good bit of Florida, really. I'm Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist T.J. Springer here. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube, and we are tracking the tropics. It has been a soaking Tuesday, a soaker of a day. So hopefully, if you have gotten out, you've been taking it easy out there on the roadways. Hello. Check 1 2 3 4. Check 1 2 3. Do you guys got me? I'm not sure what happened there. If you guys can hear me, let me know. It looks like we're getting feed again. I wonder if the mic died. Sorry about that, everyone. You guys got me now. Hopefully. Sorry about that. Hopefully, it looks like we're back. We should be a-okay. Okay. Well, as I mentioned, here's Lake Mary. This is just outside our studios. Here is a live look over some of downtown Orlando. We can see the droplets on our Skycam lens. There have been some really heavy pockets of rain here, and we are continuing to see these circulate around this area of low pressure, this invest here. Right now, thankfully, the lightning has calmed down a little bit over the last 45 minutes or so, but still notice pockets of heavy rain from northern Seminole County along 1792 up toward DeLand, just east of DeLand, in more rural Volusia County, north and east of Lake Helen. But the worst, I would say, of the rain, the activity, is now getting into far northern Lake County, far western Volusia County, and now eastern Marion County, where we are seeing some of those lightning strikes. Now, in terms of the rainfall, in the last 12 hours, check out some of these totals. Now, if you've never lived in a wintry part of the country, this might shock you, but I'm going to weigh in here, and this is going to be something that I feel like blows your mind, maybe if you've never heard this before. For every inch of rain or so, that's around a foot of snow. So check out northern Brevard County, where some spots have picked up around 7 to 8 inches of rain. That would be around 7 to 8 feet of snow, give or take. Let that sink in, right? So this is why we really mean business, why we say turn around, don't drown. Don't even attempt to go into flooded roadways. Now, thankfully, we haven't had a lot of flash flood warnings today, and we don't want them. But rain like this in a short amount of time could yield to some of that flash flooding that we've been talking about. Farther north, east of Deltona, just southeast of Lake Helen, around 6 inches of rain. Again, that's about 6 feet of snow in the past 12 hours. Can you imagine having that on your roof, what that would do to your roof? So think of how much rain we've gotten in the last few days. The ground's pretty saturated. Low-lying areas, flood-prone areas. It doesn't take too much when you have rain like this. Now, farther south and west, we haven't seen too much just yet. Pockets of, say, around 1 to 2 inches closer to downtown Orlando, into northern Orange County. But there have still been some pretty impressive amounts south and east of Orlando. South of the beach line, pretty close to Lake Poinsett, around 6.3 inches. That is a lot of rain. And we're still dealing with these rain bands as this area of low pressure is continuing to work on shore. Now, we're all under a flood watch through 8 o'clock, but you can see we do have some, looks like flood advisories now issued. Let me see if I can pull up another map real fast. These flood watches now are for, the low-lying areas. Okay, let's see. I believe, let me see if I can do this. I believe those are flood advisories. Let me see here. Flash flood. Yeah, so those are some aerial flood advisories. That is for portions of Marion County and Volusia County. And those are, again, through 2/15. One saving grace, we needed the rain because we were in a drought, and many of us are not even in any sort of drought anymore. But we don't need this much rain in this quick of a time. That's one thing we certainly do not need. Okay, so again, if you're just hopping on, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, just talking about some flooding concerns, flood advisories for Volusia County and portions of Marion County until 2:15. All right, we will get back to our other graphic that we had here. Sorry about that. Once that popped up, I wanted to get you the latest information on those areas. So that includes a pretty good bit of Volusia County and Marion County, places like Deltona, and you can zoom in DeLand, Pearson, Orange City, just to name a few of those spots. I'm actually going to bring that down into my show now so I have that. We can bounce back and forth. Sorry, I had to do that quickly on the fly there. Okay, so now at our latest check, Invest 93L, this latest update from the National Hurricane Center came in at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Well, just before 2 o'clock. We're almost at 2 o'clock. Typically, it comes in at 2 o'clock, but if we're watching a system, it may come in just a little bit earlier. So now there's a 40% chance of development. If you didn't catch that last night or didn't catch, say, maybe Brooks or Jesh this morning, we have a 40% chance of development through the next 7 days and now over the next 48 hours. So we're expecting essentially at least a depression out of this, and I'll show you that data here in just a moment. But depending on the exact track of this system, it could become even stronger. Freddie Robinson, hello, and Micanopy Neil saying, God bless the rain. Zena, Cheryl, Hiram, Trinity, Carey, Stephanie, thank you. Oh, and thank you for the updates on the mic. I'm glad. Thank you for calling me out on that. I didn't even realize it. It's actually it's funny, I can show, actually, I don't know if the camera will come down, but it's a little square mic that we have, and usually sits right here, but it is plugged in, and we shouldn't be losing that anytime soon. Alrighty, so again, a 40% chance of development, whether that becomes a depression, whether it's a tropical storm, or whether it does become a Hurricane Dexter. We're going to be with you every step of the way. I see 48 of you watching on YouTube right now. Thank you so much. 111 of you watching on Facebook. That is great. Amanda, I can imagine it's pouring in Ocala. Abias, I bet. Yeah, the rain, because of how supercharged the atmosphere is with water, with moisture, that's why we're having these flooding concerns. Okay, so here is kind of an outlook, and I know Noah showed this yesterday, a little breakdown. So even now, I think the probably no tropical development, we might be able to tweak this graphic essentially, and it's looking like we're going to have some tropical development unless something really drastically changes because of even just that little bit of time over the Gulf, the warmth in the Gulf, that would likely allow this to develop into a depression. So we're going to essentially rule out the probably no tropical development, at least from what we've seen here in the storm center. Now, in the yellow, it spends more time over the Gulf, a tropical depression or a storm. And at this point, it would seem like I would say we could be leaning more, maybe closer to a tropical storm Dexter. If it spends even more time over the Gulf, the above normal Gulf, we could be looking at a tropical storm and maybe a low-end hurricane. Now, there is some data that does show some wind shear. Now remember, in the tropics, the wind shear is good because it tears these storms apart. And it's also not what you want when you talk about tornadoes. The more wind shear you have, actually, the better chance you have of tornadoes. But you want it in the tropics because it tears these storms away. It essentially will not allow them to develop. Hi.
Hi. Don't forget you're going to be joining Garrett at the top of the 2.
Oh, okay.
So people can stick around, but just let them know so you can call it.
That'd be great. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that.
No problem.
That was our digital director, Josh, giving me a heads up. We can join. If you want to stay on, that would be wonderful. We're going to be joining Garrett Weimer on Florida Live. And I'll be kind of tailoring a little bit of this to him. But if you want to stay on, we are going to be maybe showing some of the things that you've already seen. We'll be hitting on the radar again, some more sky cams, and talking about all of this. So definitely stay with us. That won't be too long, about 5 minutes, so we can get back to some questions too. Barbara saying your pool is almost overflowing. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. 5 inches in Port Orange. Angie, thank you for the report. Charles, please stay out of the Caribbean for the next 10 days. I hope. Well, in this case, you should be good. This should be moving away from you. Holy Ghost, hello to you in Ocala. Hi, Twin Smile Gaming. Hi, Milk35. How are you? Okay. Let me call in real fast. Okay. Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to grab my headphones. Ooh. Alrighty. Sorry about that, guys. Bearing with me there. Okay. Alrighty, Kevin, you were asking about the rain hitting here in Pinellas County. Yeah, so, I mean, you're going to get some rain in Pinellas County for sure today. So this area of low pressure is essentially on top of, it's moving inland from the Atlantic. It's moving from east to west, and we're getting these bands around it. But it's going to emerge in the Gulf early tomorrow. So great question. Bob, it's probably not going to stop raining consistently in Ocala until later on tonight. And I can go through our Fox model here in a moment. Let me show you this. So here is our spaghetti modeling. And remember, this is different data from a bunch of different model sources. And you can see that this is the center of circulation right in here. And as this emerges in the Gulf, we have water temperatures that are in the middle to upper 80s. So there is some data that keeps it farther north in the Gulf, maybe some of the circulation a little closer to land. So that would keep it a little weaker. But if it's farther south, like some of the data suggests, it'll spend more time over water, and it might be able to organize even more so. Here's our depression potential. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier on. You can see there in the red, that's essentially a near 100% chance of formation of a depression. tropical storm potential a little lower, hurricane potential lower than that, but there is a low end chance. Oh, Garrett, I am. Can you hear me? We are live on Facebook and YouTube. So Josh came and let me know. So we're just gonna. I told him that they could stay on Facebook and YouTube, and they'll be getting a little bit of our show too. Okay. Sounds perfect. Thanks, buddy. Garrett, it's just been a deluge out there, really. Yeah, I know we've been talking about this all morning long, really for the last week or so, but certainly not the prettiest day to be out and about. You can see it from our camera here outside our studios. It is just dumping as we speak. Yeah, it really is unbelievable. We've seen the atmosphere supercharged with moisture and it's continuing to bring these bursts of really torrential rain. We're seeing it around downtown Orlando right now. Our exclusive radar out of eastern Orange County here on Fox 35 Storm Tracker radar showing still some pretty good pockets of rain. The heaviest north of downtown Orlando, across portions of Volusia County, really the I-4 corridor, seeing some really good rain just north of Sanford, across Lake Monroe, up toward Deltona, around Lake Helen, and some more now getting into northern Lake County. And I know, Garrett, when I was on earlier with you, that's where we saw the most lightning. Thankfully, there's not as much lightning with this now. We still have heavy rain that's getting into northern Lake and eastern Marion County. But nothing quite like we were seeing earlier. Only around 9 strikes here in the last, I think, 45 minutes versus, I think, around 100 strikes that we had when we were talking a little bit earlier on. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, they're going to continue to move toward the Gulf as we head through the remainder of the day. And I just realized how zoomed in my camera is. I'm gonna see if I can. Gotta love technology. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can zoom out this camera real fast. So give me 1 second, so I'm not quite so large. Hopefully it'll stay put. There we go. Okay, that's better. That's a little bit better. So in terms of the rainfall, it's looking like the heaviest has really fallen across portions of Brevard County and portions of Marion County, some of Volusia County, and even in southeastern Orange County. Oh, it did it again. Let's see if I can do this one more time. See if I can make myself not so large here. Gotta love technology, right, Garrett? Gotta love it. Okay. Okay, that's the better. We don't. No one. The world does not need that much TJ. That is for dang sure. Okay. Okay, I think that's better. How's that look, Garrett? Is that a little better on your end? Not so bad. So here are some of the rainfall reports here, and this is serious. We had some flash flood warnings across portions of Brevard County earlier on. Those have thankfully been allowed to expire, but over the last 12 hours, you can see north of Mims, 7-8 inches of rain, and that much rainfall. To put it in perspective, I know Garrett and I said this earlier. This is like around 7 to 8 feet of snow. So now, while we don't have flash flood warnings, we do have some flood advisories for just lower lying spots that have dealt with this influx of moisture, of heavy rains. This is for Volusia County, and this includes places like Deltona, DeLand, Orange City, and Pearson over toward Marion County, which is where we've been seeing some of that heavy rain. So now this has been updated until 3:45, 2:15 for Volusia County. We're all under this flood watch, though, through 8 o'clock. And this is going to be the time frame, really, where we're seeing the most amount of rain. It's not like we won't see rain even past 8, but I think the rain, we're going to start to see more bands of rain versus this steady dumping of rain that we've had throughout the entirety of the morning so far, and really through the wee hours of our morning at that. Now, at 2 o'clock, we usually get our updates from the National Hurricane Center. They came in a little bit earlier today, but still really no change. We're still at a 40% chance of development over the next 48 hours as well as the next 7 days as this invest or this tropical wave moves off the Gulf Coast into the warm Gulf waters. That's where it could potentially become, it sounds like at least a tropical depression at this point, but maybe a tropical storm. And Garrett, I think just the exact track is what's really going to be key. That and how much wind shear kind of tears at this. It's such a fickle situation. Obviously, we would love to have the wind shear tear it apart, but the Gulf is so warm that anything could help this organize, really, with the temperatures that they're at. Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Hopefully everyone stays safe out there and just plans accordingly. All right, everyone. Sorry for the little rehash there, but we were live on Florida Tonight with Garrett Weimer on Fox Local, so I still see 46 of you watching. Thank you for sticking around. I see 89 of you watching on YouTube. That is great. Hello to you in Delray Beach, M, Boom Z, No Rain in Palm Bay. Milk. Oh, thank you so much for the nice comment. I'm glad you've been looking at this for a while. Light rain, nothing to see here. Who cares? It's typical. Teddy, so we haven't had a lot of flash flooding yet, thankfully, but we've had a lot of rain. So this isn't. I mean, we can get flooding and heavy rain on a typical summer day in Florida, but because this is tropical in nature, the atmosphere is even more water loaded. So heavy rain for sure. All right, well, let's kind of jump back in here, and I know I was talking about some of the spaghetti model data before I hopped on Florida Live. So once again, if you're just joining us, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. We were just live on Florida Live with Garrett Weimer on Fox Local. And if you have not downloaded Fox Local, maybe you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube right now, hop on over and do so, because you can get all of the latest in the palm of your hand, whether it be weather alerts, our latest forecasts, our latest breaking news. You can have it on your smart TV, on your tablet, on your phone. And the best part is you can be watching us simultaneously. You can have us up on Fox Local. Then if you want to ask a question, you can grab your phone and hop on Facebook and YouTube and throw one in. Okay, so talking about the depression potential, you can see this area of red and orange. That's essentially a likelihood of at least a depression forming. At least. So if you think there's this good of a chance of a depression forming, you would think there's even a higher chance of a tropical storm forming. So let me grab that. I want to bring that into my show here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Now, the next name on the list is going to be Dexter. And this is a possibility here. This is... Okay, let's see here. All right, so we see this. So this is today. So notice, it's not a great chance, but a chance nonetheless, around a 30% chance of a tropical storm forming, of a tropical storm Dexter forming. So if you have friends on the coast of Louisiana, on the coast of Mississippi, on the coast of Alabama, make sure they are staying in the know and they are getting reliable weather information, because you don't want to get caught off guard. That's what can really be dangerous if you're not expecting or you're not paying attention to reliable weather information. Bad things can happen. That's why we do these. We want to keep you in the know as much as we possibly can. That is why we're here. All right, so we've had Andrea, Barry, and Chantal. I know that was one of the ones that we've heard many different pronunciations. Chantal was the most recent one. Dexter is up next, and this could potentially take the name Dexter. Now, one of the big reasons it could become Dexter, we were talking about the water temperatures, and look at the water temperatures here. Mid to upper 80s, especially up close to places like New Orleans, off the coast of Louisiana. Real warm from the Gulf. Essentially, you want around low 80s, 80 degrees, 82 degrees for minimal development, for any sort of development to start to happen. But when you get this warm, that really aids in more intensification if we can start to get a system to work into that warmth. Now, in terms of the rainfall, let me change this real fast. I'm going to have this going out to just the next 48 hours. How about that? Okay. So here we go. We can see, and we're still going to have some rain around even Wednesday. More hit or miss showers and thunderstorms today. We're going to see the most amount of rain, but check out some of these, pockets of rain. 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain. Not all of us are going to see that much rain, but there are going to be some spots that pick up that much rain, and that's where we're going to be monitoring that flooding threat. That's why we have a flood watch from the National Weather Service, and why one of the big reasons today is an impact day. You can see here another way to describe it: a marginal to slight risk of flash flooding, and this goes for essentially the entirety of the Fox 35 viewing area, right up into our Fox 51 viewing area for Levy County and Dixie County. So this is what we're watching here today. So let's time it out here, shall we, on our Fox model. Through the remainder of the day, notice the swirl. Remember the counterclockwise motion, it's essentially right on top of Florida as we speak. Watch what happens. As we go through the remainder of the day, we're going to see these showers and thunderstorms continuing to work west through mid-afternoon. If you're getting out and about, running some errands, maybe hitting the gym. It's not great to be outside really doing anything today, anything outdoors, but through the afternoon into the evening, we're going to start to see the rain lighten up, become more rain bands, like what we would typically get in a tropical system. Through dinner time, we still have some of these swinging around that center of circulation, but then we start to dry out. But notice, we're still in that onshore flow tomorrow, and as we get a little more sunshine, trying to peak out, as temperatures start to warm up, we start to destabilize, and we still see, and tomorrow, I think, with the greater circulation and still the sea breeze, we're going to have hit or miss showers and thunderstorms. Connor, how are you? How many Category 5 hurricanes do you expect to hit Florida this year? That's a great question. So we just got a new update from one of our really trustworthy organizations, and this is out of Colorado State. They have actually brought down their tropics forecast just a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what happens through the remainder of the year And bear with me once. I'm gonna lock our camera. Our camera keeps unlocking for some reason. Let's see. So I get really big. I got really big on when I was on Fox Local a minute ago. Okay, so now our camera's locked in. Sorry about that. Okay, so Connor, usually, and let me see if I can pull that up. I don't know if I have that in my show, but I can tell you. Let's see, it is huge. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so their new update, 3 major hurricanes. And remember, Connor, major hurricanes are Category 3 or higher. So that would be potentially a Category 5. So only 3, 8 hurricanes and 16 named storms. That's kind of the new outlook. It's been kind of a slow start to the year. If you remember, last year we had Beryl. That was I think one of the earliest Category 5s on record, if I'm not mistaken. That was a little bit. That was before I moved down there. I was still living in Pennsylvania at the time, but I believe, and I'll have to check that. And if someone knows, maybe fact check me. But I'll have to look at that. But anyway, Beryl was a really strong storm. It was a major hurricane. We've had these weaker storms around the Gulf, around Florida, and the southwestern Atlantic so far this year. And if they can stay this way, that's great. We've also had a lot of dust, so that would keep things quieter. And we're looking at another plume of dust. And actually, I can pull that in real fast. We can at least talk about that a little bit. So, Connor, I hope that helps a little bit. I'll pull in that, but I do want to finish going through Futurecast here on our Fox weather model. Alicia, how are you? No, the storm would not come through North Savannah, Georgia along I-95. This is likely going to go farther west, so this should not be really a big issue for the southeast, thankfully. Okay. So, through the rest of the night, into our Wednesday morning, we're a lot drier. Tomorrow afternoon and evening, that's when we start to see the hit or miss showers and thunderstorms. Okay, alrighty, let me bounce over. I was just looking at some comments. Still see 89 of you watching on YouTube. Love to see it. This villager, I love the villages here. It's raining steadily now, but not heavy. We're staying at Disney. Middle of the week. Middle of next week. There's a hurricane, and I'm glad that's where. Next week, at least looking out right now, looking a little bit more typical for this time of the year. Nothing tropical, at least at the moment. So it looks like we're going to be in better shape. Hopefully that helps you a little bit. Mohammed Chowdhury, how are you? Hopefully I said your name there correctly. Hunters Creek in DeLand, Florida. It's possible. You know, DeLand's had a lot of rain, Mohammed, so we'll be watching that closely. Okay. So let me pull up. No, I just had that in here. Where is that? Let's see here. The dust forecast. Because that's really one of the big reasons that we've been a little quieter, which is great, at least in the tropics. There we go. Okay. Well, I appreciate you all sticking with me here. I know it's been kind of we've been bouncing all around, but I appreciate you all hanging out with me here. I see 103 of you watching on YouTube. That is so great. Thank you so much. And I see 32 of you now watching on Facebook. So that is great. Well, we won't stick on here for too much longer. We've already been on for about 40 minutes. Okay, so here is our future Saharan dust. You can see one plume working up closer to Mexico, but look at all this working around the Bermuda High. So this is what we want to see. You know, the dry air, the dust, it keeps things quiet in the tropics. Not that we can't have tropical waves, but look at all the dust. The dust just keeps coming. across the African coast, and this is as we head through this upcoming weekend and into next week. So I think this is one of the big reasons why Colorado State, the professors, the doctors that put out these forecasts have kind of tweaked things just a little bit, which is what we want to see. A quieter hurricane season, even a little bit, is what we will definitely take. Are you, Vicky, you're saying you're flying home from Denver to Orlando, supposed to arrive around 8 p.m. Will this be impacting flights? That is a great question. Let me pull back up the Fox model here, Fox weather model. By 8 o'clock, Vicky, you might be, there's 7. Things are looking a little better. Not saying we might not have a few storms around, but nowhere near as widespread, Vicky, as what we have out there now. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully your flight isn't delayed. Mohammed, no, you do not need to evacuate, at least right now. If something changes, we will be bringing you the latest, but no, there's nothing, no sort of evacuation orders officially from anyone, any entity. Thankfully, this was a weaker system, not even a tropical depression, still an invest, but that means it's essentially a tropical wave. But this has still brought a lot of rain, but that's a great question. Alrighty, well, I think it is 2:22. I'm going to hop off here. Thank you so much for joining me on Facebook and YouTube. I know we'll probably be doing another one of these in just a little while. Noah will be getting in here in just a little bit. And we'll have the latest for you at 4, for sure at 4 on Fox Local with Garrett Weimer, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8, 10, and 11. So be sure you stick with us throughout the remainder of the day. We are going to be hanging out here with you, bringing you the latest for sure. And thanks for all the questions, all the comments. If something's on your mind, be sure to throw it in the comments, and we'll try to get back to you as quick as we can. All right, stay safe. Remember, turn around, don't drown.